This is my newest print that I've just finished, and I got the idea when I was just out around. It was pretty late just this month, and at the first of the month in October I kept noticing a few dragonflies that were left, and so I got to thinking, well, why are all the other dragonflies gone? So I just started reading about dragonflies, and I did learn that these dragonflies that are lingering are migrant dragonflies, and a lot of them are called darners. The darners are migrators, so I thought, well, wouldn't that be a neat print? So I read a little more, and it said that they migrate. Nobody ever knows where they end up, though. Their destination is unknown, but they go in just big flights of insects. So I put together some of the later flowers that you see in the meadow, like the plantains and just the little seed pods that you see blooming, like of the cosmos that are left over and things like that. So that's where my print came from. And it was a very windy day when I saw it, so I thought, well, I'm going to let the print look like, have a feeling of the wind blowing in late October or the late autumn. So everything, that's why the composition is leaning toward one direction. And anyway, I get a lot of satisfaction from trying to bring out something about nature that people maybe overlook or they didn't learn before, you know.
How long did you work? How long did it take you to carve that out?
Well, I don't just carve. Well, some afternoons I come in and start carving at 1 o'clock after lunch, and I'll carve till maybe 4 o'clock or 5, or maybe. It takes a long time, and I'll stop and do, sometimes if I get really tired, I'll do other things, you know, in the meantime, like some of the other stuff that I do, or work outside for a little bit. But this one took me several weeks to carve, actually, and finish, by the time I got the proofs done and got all the little dots and niches out that I didn't want in there. So, but I'm going to ink this one up. I've already run a few prints. I have a few that are drying right here that I like to put on different papers, but this one's one that I actually already finished up and watercolored and titled it, but I don't have the edition set on yet. So these are pretty dry right here. I just poured one in the floor this morning. So let's ink up and I'll show you. So I really like printing better when it's just perfect weather and I don't even have to run the air or the heat.
What kind of ink are you using?
This is Speedball. I like the Cranfield, but I was going to go ahead and use this jar up, but it's super graphic black. Yeah, it's not just the regular Speedball. It's got some type of substance that allows it to sort of act like an oil-based ink, but yet it still washes up with water. So I'm going to roll these on now, and the ink is tacky. It sounds very tacky and nice. Thinking about maybe trying a reduction cut. That's what I was talking about, Leanne, about, you know, when you retire you see things and you want to expand. So I was trying to think about would I like to do that or not. I think I would. I don't know how much it's dried while we were talking, so. When you ink your plate up, there's a whole lot of little tiny carvings that you left in relief, like for example in the wings, and you don't want to fill those in. So the inking up process is kind of tricky because, and I know where there's little spots, so sometimes I'll take a little piece of paper or something I know that right in here have been some things I didn't want, so I'll take time, and every time I ink it up, I'll make sure I don't want to get that whatever. It's the edge of your plate. Sometimes it picks it up. Even though I try not to, it still does. Okay, then I'm going to move it over here. Okay. I've got the registration set up to where the block goes in the same place every time. I use my sewing, whatever you call this board here, from Fiskars, and it works great. And I've also got a registration where I know where to put my paper. So the next step is you got to make absolutely sure your hands are clean, because I've ruined so many works that way and been so disgusted about forgetting that there's a little dot on my fingers and grabbing my paper, and then suddenly you've just ruined your whole thing. All right, so my paper's ready. You want to print on the smooth side of your print paper, so you always check. I made that mistake just last week. Getting in a hurry. So now I want my paper to go right here. So I put it in one corner. I get it placed just like I want it. And then just let it fall. This is a Baron, and the Baron just helps transfer the ink to the other paper, even though I have to give it a little help. I pull each one of mine by hand, even though I do have a small press in there in the other room, but I don't really enjoy it. I would love to have a different one, but it's just a speedball press that's a table mount, and it doesn't work as much as I like, so I just prefer just to go ahead and hand pull them. You see the image even coming through a little on the paper. It does that with your thinner papers, especially your Japanese paper. It's just, I take the back of a hard object like a spoon, or sometimes my remote. I use my remote control. But I just want the image to show up. You want all your ink to come off. You don't want your paper to move any. If it slips even the least little degree, well, it ruins your print. You have to throw it away. So I do enjoy this a lot. I like the printing part, but for me, the joy or satisfaction I get out of this is the carving, because it's really challenging to balance your negatives and your positives and get a nice composition that's not either too black or... And I love to hand paint them because, well, I like to paint, so why not join the two? There are a lot of people that do their own. I make sure every little piece, and I can check it too before I give it a pull. So it's looking like a really good one. Everything is printed that I want. I don't see any little flecks and dots that aren't supposed to be there. The black is filled in really nice. I'm not going to lay it back down. I'm just going to go ahead and pull it. And so there it is.
That is so beautiful.
You want your ink to be nice and even. I've already got my line drawn over there. I've decided. I'm tired of putting them on the floor because sometimes the dogs come in and I'm going, don't go over there. Yeah, but I've always just laid them down in the floor out of the way, you know, and let them dry flat. So they have to dry. They have to go through a pretty good drying because, you know, it's the different ink too. That's what it is. So.